Hi, everyone. Happy Tuesday, and welcome to the Northern Kentucky Spotlight Podcast, powered by CKREU. I'm your host, Sarah Brookbank. Today on the podcast, we are joined by Samantha Kelly of Beyond Neurodiversity. She talks about how they provide training, development, and coaching for neurodivergent and neurotypical workforces. Thank you to our podcast sponsors, CKREU, Google and Amazon advertising experts. Without them, these episodes wouldn't be possible. I won't keep you guys for long, so let's go meet our members of the week, hear from our sponsors, and I'll be back with Samantha.
Ranking on Google Search and Maps is easy to understand, but hard to do. It requires constant effort and attention, uploading new photos, responding to Google reviews, writing weekly posts, and checking suggested updates. Google listing optimization takes experience and time, and there are no shortcuts. CKREU gives your Google My Business account the steady, consistent attention it needs to be effective, optimizing, updating, and expanding critical content every single week. From local retail stores to large regional networks, CKREU generates content, establishes benchmarks, and creates dramatic, measurable increases in engagement. So what can CKREU do for your business? More calls, more clicks, more clients.
Congratulations to our members of the week. You can learn more about these businesses by following the Northern Kentucky Chamber on social media, where we highlight one of these businesses each day. Now, let's meet our members of the week. Crux Roadboards Graphics is Cincinnati's premier fleet and industrial graphics shop, providing high-quality vinyl vehicle wraps, decals, and signs for commercial use. Disabled American Veterans is a nonprofit organization founded in Cincinnati in 1920 to empower veterans to lead high-quality lives with respect and dignity. Beyond Neurodiversity helps organizations, managers, and employees understand how to connect with their neurodivergent team members with an accommodating and empathetic approach. World of Golf is a family entertainment center centered around golf and the positive attributes that it brings to one's life. Hi, everybody. Today on the podcast, I am joined by Samantha Kelly of Beyond Neurodiversity. Samantha, welcome back to the podcast.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
I am so glad to have you on. You did an interview with Nancy Feige a couple years ago. I got to overhear that conversation and really loved it, so I'm really glad to have you back as my guest.
Oh, awesome.
Before we really dive into what you do, what is neurodiversity?
Oh, that's a great question because I think a lot of people have that question. They hear the term and they go, I don't understand. It's kind of a long word. Where do I go with that? So when you break it down, neuro meaning nervous system and diversity meaning, well, just the wide variety of shapes, colors, and sizes that we all come in, right? Mm-hmm. So when we think of neurodiversity, it's the wide variety of ways that we think, interact with, process the world around us. So it ranges from somebody who is neurotypical, meaning they meet society's definition, and man, that's kind of like a fuzzy definition, loosey-goosey definition, but essentially they process in a way that's really common or, typical for society. But it also includes neurotypes like ADHD and autism and dyslexia, and that umbrella is significant and wide-reaching, but those are just some of the neurotypes that it includes. So it's essentially everybody and the way that we process the world.
Right. And I think alongside like the conversations that we're having about mental health, we're also talking about neurodiversity.
Yes.
These topics are really shifting. It's a trend that's kind of coming more into the workplace and more to the forefront. What's really driving that awareness right now?
Gosh, well, we're seeing an increase of diagnoses. And I think when people hear that, they get really worried. Mm-hmm. They think, oh, there's something wrong, or there's a cause, there's something going on. I think, from my perspective, my opinion, and my own lived experiences, what I'm seeing is that we are just getting to understand these neurotypes better. Mm-hmm. We're having a better picture of what ADHD really looks like. What does it mean to be autistic? What are the symptoms and the conditions and experiences that come along with being dyslexic, mm-hmm. or having PTSD, right? We're just getting a better understanding of that. And as our understanding grows, we're able to diagnose at younger ages. Mm-hmm. But that also means that parents are turning around and going, hold on.
Yeah.
That's how I felt at age 8 or 12 or 15, or that's still how I feel today. And so that's why we're seeing a rise in younger diagnoses, but also adult diagnoses. And we're seeing this kind of feedback loop happen. Mm-hmm. I think it's really fascinating. Being a late diagnosed person myself, because of the wealth of information that it brings you.
Yeah.
And this level of understanding and self-awareness and almost relief in some ways. Somebody put it the other day, finding out you're neurodivergent means you're not lazy, crazy, or stupid. And you never were. And so it's this really, really interesting experience of realizing, oh, I've been dealing with a deck of cards that nobody ever taught me how to play.
Yeah, and I think that's such a great analogy. It's very interesting, especially as like a young person in the workplace. And I know like millennials are very at the forefront of this. Gen Z, obviously, even more so when we talk about these trends and the ways that people show up in the workplace are very different. One of my favorite things, or not my favorite things, but something that I have found really funny in my own journey, is the like talented and gifted to like burnout pipeline.
That is a true pipeline.
It's a big pipeline.
Yes.
But that's one of those things too, as you know, we talk about mental health, we talk about therapy, we talk about learning more about ourselves and how we can show up more present in the workplace. Yeah. That's a lot of what you do. Tell us a little bit about Beyond Neurodiversity. Tell us about the services and the types of things that you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. So I work at kind of twofold. First, I work with neurodivergent professionals who are trying to get a handle on what's going on in their lives. Maybe that's time management or communication, some executive functioning support or the way that we get things done, but also just like help me understand what's going on. Like I'm newly diagnosed. These are some of the experiences. Can we put words to it? That's what I'm working on with one of my clients right now. And just kind of walking through that experience of being neurodivergent in a world that's not built for you.
Right.
On the other hand, I also work with organizations to help them support their managers and their neurodivergent professionals and build a bridge of communication between the two. So essentially, it looks like manager training and being able to have an hour to 90 minutes just talking about, okay, how does this show up in the workplace? It's not that your team member is lazy and just doesn't want to turn in those financial reports, although not many of us do.
Right.
But it might be that they're struggling with an element of the process that their brain just doesn't quite click with. Okay, so how do we get them to communicate that? And how do we support them through that process? So it's been really fascinating to see the acceptance and the excitement that I've seen from both individuals, but also organizations who are saying, if we are going to hire neurodivergent talent, which 20%, it's estimated 20% of the world is neurodivergent, so that's a huge chunk of our teams. If we're going to hire neurodivergent talent, keep neurodivergent talent, and really leverage the unique strengths that they bring to the table, which that list is fairly long. We don't have time to cover all those strengths today. Then we need to know how to support them. Our managers need to be trained in what to look for, how to encourage, support, communicate, direct, all of the various touch points that it comes with being a manager of anybody, neurotypical or neurodivergent. Managers need to know how to do that.
Yeah, and you mentioned there are strengths, there are benefits to embracing neurodivergency in your workplace. Tell us top line, what are some of those things?
Oh my gosh, okay. This is where I get really excited. I wouldn't be doing my community a service if I didn't get the chance to talk about some of our strengths. So you see things like creativity and innovation, problem solving. Essentially the neurodivergent brain, because we think in different pathways, we're able to see different perspectives that maybe somebody might have missed, or maybe it just didn't naturally occur to somebody. It doesn't mean that somebody is right or wrong. It just means that we brought in a unique perspective that is really, really crucial to the success of the company. Mm-hmm. So we talk about creativity and innovation. I mean, think of that time when maybe you had a quieter, maybe not as social, maybe just somebody who communicated a little differently, but they brought a really cool idea to the table and it came out of nowhere. Like that's an example of embracing neurodiversity, seeing somebody's ability to see from different perspectives. On the softer side, I see this swell of empathy and this sense of justice and integrity, some of these really hard to quantify skills, but really beautiful strengths that they bring to the table. And then you've got detail orientation. For some, not every neurodivergent person is the same, right? Mm-hmm. Me having ADHD may be different than somebody who has an autistic neurodivergent profile. Mm-hmm. And so, but you see just these beautiful strengths, but they're hidden because maybe somebody presents a little differently. Maybe they don't communicate the same way. Maybe they don't make the same kind of eye contact that you expect or that you're used to. Or maybe they just naturally move through the world differently.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of seeing past that, I think we sometimes get caught up in that.
Yeah.
And it's really what I'm trying to do is help others see beyond those moments of confusion and see the really, really cool strengths that somebody brings to the table.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. And we're talking about seeing through that, seeing beyond that. What are some everyday practices that people in the workplace, especially when we think managers that maybe are managing people who have neurodiversity on their team, what are some of those best practices?
Oh gosh, good question. So many options. I've got to narrow it down. When we think of communication, for example, right? We all communicate differently.
Mm-hmm.
Some of us are effervescent. Some of us maybe have more of a flat affect or tone. But when you think about the ways that we process communication and information, it can be as simple as having a verbal meeting, one-to-one, having a chat, and then just making sure to follow up, maybe in writing, if somebody processes written word better.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to getting work done, it might mean more frequent touch bases. It might mean more direct communication of these are my deadlines and deliverables, and this is exactly what I'm expecting of you. Really, that clear communication benefits anybody.
Yeah.
We could all benefit from a little bit clearer outline or expectations. Some people, hey, hands off, let me do what I need to do. Love that. Not everybody thrives that way. So that's communication. But if you think of the spaces around us, I'm envious of this space because of the noise canceling and the calm and the quiet. I'm loving it. Some people might need something more like that. Or instead of fluorescent overhead lights, they may benefit from more ambient or natural lighting because of their sensory challenges or experiences. Gosh, I could go on all day. Communication, sensory experiences, and then maybe in the way that we manage and give feedback. Some individuals do thrive off of public praise,
Mm-hmm.
but maybe we need direct and concrete feedback, especially if it's more developmental or critiquing. That needs to be more private.
Mm-hmm.
That needs to be more one-on-one and allowing somebody the opportunity to ask questions to understand the who, the why, the how.
Yeah.
Really painting the picture for somebody so that they're not left guessing. I think one element of many neurodivergent experiences, not all, but many neurodivergent experiences, is that we're trying to understand a world that's not built for us.
Mm-hmm.
So things that go unsaid, whether that's social cues or rules, or maybe implications, or in moments where we've inferred something, if we don't totally understand what's going on, we can't solve the problem ourselves.
Right.
So being as direct and clear in the way that we detail problems, directives, communication can be really beneficial.
Yeah, that is great. That is, I think, an essential tip, like you said, not just for people with a neurodivergent profile, but people, everyone. Clear communication, sign me up. That is what I need every day. Samantha, it has been so great to have you on. Before I let you go, is there anything else you think people need to know, anything that we didn't get to touch on that you want to highlight today?
Oh gosh, being neurodivergent, this is like my last line, I guess. Being neurodivergent doesn't mean that you're wrong or bad or anything like that. It means that you simply see the world in a different way. And it can be, of course, challenging and frustrating, especially when we're in spaces that aren't really built for us. But I want anybody who is wondering if they're neurodivergent or if they support a neurodivergent loved one, just to know that it's okay, that there are different experiences that we all have as we move through the world, and our experience is valid and crucial really to the success of everybody else around us as well. So that's, I guess, my last line.
I love that. Absolutely great information. Thank you so much, Samantha. Last final thing for people that want to learn more or get in touch with you, how can they do that?
Oh my gosh, so many ways. We could do, I'm on LinkedIn, Samantha L. Kelly, otherwise Sammy Kelly, SAMMIE. They can reach me at info@beyondnd.com or the website www.beyondnd, like neurodivergent, beyondnd.com.
Okay, perfect. Samantha, thank you so much for your time today. It was great to have you on.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you to our Investors Circle members. Our Investor Circle members help us promote and support the development of strong businesses and a vibrant economy in the Northern Kentucky region. Thank you to all of these members for their investment, which will help the Northern Kentucky Chamber of Commerce in our mission to develop and grow a thriving business community. Northern Kentucky needs tailored solutions to address our housing shortage. Home for All, Northern Kentucky Housing Strategies, explores how we can retain young adults, help older residents downsize or age in place, and ensure new neighbors have housing options that fit their lives. Dive into the report at housingNKY.org. Welcome back, everyone. I hope you enjoyed that conversation about Beyond Neurodiversity and the services they offer. Like Samantha said, you can learn more about them at www.beyondnd.com. Thank you once again to our podcast sponsor, CKREU, Google and Amazon advertising experts. And before we go, I would like to plug one of our upcoming events. We have announced our lineup for Eggs and Issues, Shaping the Future of Healthcare in Northern Kentucky, which is happening on Tuesday, February 10th. Our experts from Cincinnati Children's Hospital, Gravity Diagnostics, St. Elizabeth Healthcare, Current HR, and CareSpring Healthcare Management will explore current trends, workforce challenges, and access to care across the region at that event. You can learn more and register at nkychamber.com/events. And finally, if you're a member who would like to be featured on the podcast, or if you're someone who is interested in joining the Northern Kentucky Chamber, please reach out to Lynn Ablin. And if you're a member who would like to share your workforce strategies and resources on our Talent Strategies Spotlight, please reach out to Nancy Spivey. You can find their contact information on the screen if you are a viewer, and our listeners can find that at nkychamber.com/staff. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'll talk to you guys next week.